everyone. In this video, we are going to explore the various compute options that Azure provides. I hope you can see my screen and you will find all those options written here in these boxes. So let's go through these boxes one by one and try to understand when to use these options, in what situation, in what architecture, in what application, which compute option is beneficial or we should choose. So if we go with the options, just to familiarize ourselves what all different options are there, let's go through it one by one. Virtual machine, you all know it. It's an IaaS, infrastructure as a service resource, and it gives full control, just like any other virtual machine running on premises maybe. All right, so Azure offers a number of ways to host your application code. And the term compute refers to the hosting model for the computing resource that your application runs on. Okay. And virtual machine is one of them, as these other resources are like app services, Azure Batch, Spring Cloud, ACIs, Azure Container Instance, Service Fabric, AKS, OpenShift, ARO, it's Red Hat. Yeah. So cloud services, including Azure services, generally fall into three categories that we have talked about so many times in the previous videos, like IaaS, PaaS. But in this situation, it's FaaS, like function as a service. Why not SaaS? Because it's a compute option, and SaaS is a subscription-based application model. So we have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and function as a service as compute options in Azure. And there is a trade-off. There is a trade-off between control and ease of management before you go and choose, along with the, of course, feasibility. So IaaS gives the most control, as I said, virtual machine, flexibility and portability, but you have to provision, configure, and manage the VMs, network components, patching, a lot more, right? And FaaS, function as a service, automatically manages nearly all aspects of running an application. It could be just like trigger-based, event-based, right? All right, so if we go one by one, VM we know, app services is managed service for hosting web apps. We have covered a huge playlist on this, I think 18 videos where we have talked about each and every feature of app service. So this is again the PaaS. Then we have Spring Cloud, Azure Batch. Azure Batch is to run high performance computing. So if your application needs that kind of compute, we go with the Azure Batch. Then we have a Spring Cloud, which is managed service designed and optimized for hosting Spring Boot applications. Then we have Azure Container Instance, which is the managed service where you can run a container, no need to spin up a VM and install the Docker, simply go ahead and run a container. Then we have Service Fabric, which is again a managed service, a distributed systems platform that can run in many environments, including Azure or on-premises. AKS, we all know that. A huge playlist we have covered on the AKS as well, including ACI. Then OpenShift is Red Hat OpenShift, where we can opt for it if our application needs this kind of functionality. Okay, so let's see what are the different things or situations come across where we have to choose these different options, right? So let's suppose if you are planning a new application where you need full control or of the hosting platform where you're running applications. So of course, no questions asked. We all know it's the virtual machine is your choice. Now, if you do not need a full control, then of course you can go and run your code in the app services. But if that application requires high performance computing, right? If your workload involve HPC capabilities, high performance computing capabilities, you can run it on Azure Batch, which provides job scheduling and auto scaling of compute resources as a platform service. So it's easy to run large scale parallel and HPC applications in the cloud. But if no HPC required, then of course app service is your guy. All right, so we know when to use VM, when to use batch, and when to use app service as of now. Okay, and app service supports almost all, so many applications, almost all that we use usually quite often. So it's a good match. All right, then there is, if it is a microservice architecture, of course, we go with Service Fabric and AKS as per our need. It's an older .NET platform, then of course Azure Fabric is the best for that. And AKS is also managed Kubernetes, which is a wonderful service for microservice application architecture, right? Now, if you need to run your or containerize your application, containerize your application and easily run containers by using a single command, you don't need the orchestration, then ACI, Azure Container Instance, your man. Okay, now if you're looking for application, if you need to run Spring Boot application at cloud scale without worrying about infrastructure management, then of course Spring Cloud is your Azure Spring Cloud is your guy. Okay, so same goes with the OpenShift. Now, as of now, we understand a very basic idea, a very high level overview as per different options available in Azure for the compute, when to use which one. It depends on your need. It depends on the kind of application it is. It depends on from where you're coming. Let's suppose it's not a greenfield application and it is a migration. And if you do not have enough time to refactor your application, of course you will go and lift and shift. Then virtual machine is your only choice there, right? But you can refactor or re-architect later, that's fine. So it depends on very situation which one you're gonna choose as your compute option. Well, there are different other ways. If you're gonna time, you can refactor application, you can cloud optimize your application, you can use app service, or you can use managed SQL services at the backend. That can be done, right? But if you do not have any other option, you cannot refactor application, do not have the skill, or there is a very short span of time, then of course you will run your SQL on your virtual machine. You won't use the managed instance, right? So this is a very small video, a high level overview about different compute options in the Azure and which one we should choose. And there are different options that we talked about, but we got an idea which one to choose in what situation. Well, thank you for watching and you have a good day. Bye-bye.